All right. Welcome to another episode of Soul Within Love, where we explore that love is safe. And if it's not safe, it's not love. Today, we are still being joined by a beautiful Carly and fun, interesting Jordan, who always managed to bring interesting subjects on. So you're saying you had something you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about I've been a fan of mystical studies and like ancient religions, and I've gone deep diving into like Hinduism, Buddhism, Tantra, Taoism, all that type of stuff. And there's a principle within Tantra that I think would really benefit a lot of people today. And the idea is that you have your masculine and your feminine energies. So actually, so you know the third eye, like your third eye that everyone talks about,
Mm-hmm.
the philosophy is that your third eye opens when you're mutually balanced in your energy of masculine and feminine, because then you see the
Yep.
truth. So there's like a
Yep.
masculine viewpoint to life and there's a feminine viewpoint to life. You balance those two views and you see the true version of reality.
And that's
um
part of what I do all the time because when
yeah
you can bring gratitude is bringing the support and the challenges together. So you have gratitude. When you're in gratitude, you connect with your third eye.
yeah, exactly. And in Tantra there's this like symbolism of like, what is, because you say these concepts like masculine and feminine, what does that mean? So there's an idea that in tantric philosophy, that the masculine energy is like a pillar and the feminine energy is a snake that can go up and down the pillar. So not a snake in a negative way, like snaky, like we say it, like, because a snake in Hinduism is
Like
actually
a
like a,
kundalini almost, the
yeah, but
energy. Yeah.
the idea is that women will go up and down in emotion a lot more often than men, and men need to be that strong pillar to make the snake feel comfortable going up and down. So if you have a masculine energy in your life as a woman or a man that you're like working with, or you're sorry, in a relationship with, and he's a weak pillar, what happens to the snake? It can't go up and down. It feels unsafe and it could, recoil all the way down to the bottom and there's nowhere for it to go. So I think like when we look at modern dating today, like that one principle I feel is something that's missing from a lot of relationships. And I think then forces women to go more into their masculine because they don't feel safe with their partner and they're trying to become their own pillar in a way, which I think, yes, we all need to be like safe in ourselves, but then you start battling like the pill. I just feel like it's caused a lot of problems in relationship, like running away from like that analogy.
And at the same time, what happens is when two people know they're worthy of love, then they
Mm-hmm.
balance their own male and female energy, masculine,
Mm-hmm.
feminine energy within themselves. So instead of having to have the man just, the pillar and the woman being the emotional, what I find happens is like when a woman comes to see me and she says, "Oh, my guy is stoic, he doesn't share emotions and things like this." I said, "Well, you're emotional. The only way he's going to shift to being emotional is if you want to become more cerebral. Are you willing to do that? Because
Mm-hmm.
the balance always need to happen. The only way you can shift your partner is if you shift yourself. So it's possible to have two people who are pillars for each other because both partners are in their hearts. Both of them are balance within the energy of the male and the female, the emotional and the stoic, the cerebral and the emotional. And when you bring them together, you can then have this amazing connection that is not swayed and put the pressure more on one side than the other. But it is possible to have a man who's really, man into himself and a woman who's really anchored in her power as being a
Mm-hmm.
female, and then they can come together. But often what happens is that you need to have, as you're evolving spiritually, what you're going to find is that you're going to find that the man becomes more emotional, so he can be more in his heart, and the female becomes more cerebral, so it's easier for her to be in her heart.
Yeah,
Comments
sure.
on comments on that.
Carly, what do you think?
Oh, I have so many thoughts, but unfortunately, I was assisting with something just now, so I didn't catch all of that. I'm so sorry. Give me the quick Foles notes real fast, and I'll give you my opinion.
Do you want to do that, Lise? Do you want to summarize that
Sure.
again? Yeah, yeah,
So, so Jordan mentions that many women look for a man who's going to be like the pillar inside, who's more cerebral, and which allows the female energy that's more emotional to have a place that she can explore. And it brings the emotional side to the male, and the male brings the stability to the female. And I say, yes, it's possible. It's possible that you find, like I had one of my friends, her husband was almost, he's on the autistic spectrum, like Asperger, and she was super emotional, like really emotional, until she realized, oh my goodness, my husband is actually on the Asperger spectrum. And now, instead of taking things personally when he was not doing it, she went more into her cerebral self. So by doing this, he had a place to become more emotional. And that was pretty magical. So it is possible. Like if you can decide, like, I'm a male, I'm going to be cerebral, I don't want to feel my emotions, and I'm going to find a female that's emotional, and then you appreciate each other. Or as a male and female energy, you can be gay and have the same dynamics. As a male and female energy, you learn, both of you, to balance the mind with the emotions, which brings you in the heart. So now the connection is solid, but inside the heart instead of the mind and the emotions.
yeah.
How does that sound?
Sounds correct. Yes.
So when you've been in a relationship in the past, what do you find? Are you finding the men are more like in the stoic cerebral part, or you finding both?
Both, but I haven't been in a relationship for a while, so there is a large chance that that dynamic might shift a little bit. But like in terms of dating, I find that a lot of men I would never feel safe with. So I find I'm playing both roles just to like
So
protect
that's
myself.
the part. Yeah, like when you say I don't feel safe, what are they signaling to you that you feel like you can't relax into their presence?
Because for the most part, most men out there right now are not looking for anything serious, and they don't have like one person they're interested in because they have so many options out there. If this situation doesn't work out, they can just run back to an app. It doesn't even have to be an app. They can just run back to whomever they had prior, and that's where they will go. And that's just kind of like there's just like no accountability within any kind of dynamic right now. That's my
So
perspective.
that would come up a lot too when I worked with clients. So what I would tell them to do, and it's funny because I got resistance on it, is I'd be like, okay, well, so if you go on a date with him, are you okay to delete all your apps, shut off all your other options, and fully experience that one option? 80% of the women I was working with were like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. Like I'm still in my dating phase. So this gets back to Lisa's whole point where it's like whatever we do internally is just going to mirror in the external. So if we can't ask something of somebody else if we're not willing to do it ourselves. And that almost is like what you're saying about balancing your own energies. Like, can you put up, the masculine energy is about boundaries and feminine energy is about surrendering. So like, can you balance the energies in yourself where you're surrendering, but also putting up the boundaries that you want to set for other people and then set them for yourself?
And the other thing I want to add to this is it's important if decide that you like the profile of someone, that you take the time to speak with them on the phone. I don't go on a date because people get exhausted going on dates. First, you need to make sure that this person is actually in line with what you're looking. And especially apparently for women, and that's been true in my case, the voice of a man can either turn us on or off. So if you speak with
Same for
them on
men.
the
No,
phone
same.
first,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's so important to take the time because otherwise you get blasé. So again, we'd
That's
love to
so
get you.
true. No, like when Victoria
Yes.
and I met, we met online and we had a phone call. And the second I heard her voice, I'm like, yeah, okay, I like this person. Like it was like an instant thing. And I should ask her if she felt the same way. I think she said she did, but it was like we liked each other's voice. And then when we went out, it was like such an easy, natural
There's,
progression.
yeah, and there's a frequency that comes through a voice. And whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, our first impression is usually the right one. Like if our gut feeling says danger, 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 this is wrong, but oh man, they look so good. And you override that knowledge inside of you. That's when you get exhausted and tired. Again, we would love to hear about you and your journey and your comments on what we're talking about. We welcome the connections in the community. And we'll see you next time in our next Soul Where to Love podcast. And if you enjoyed this, please pass it on along to other people.